Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the program. This is Man Unveiled, and we're glad that you've joined us on this program. Last week, we had a very good discussion with Pastor Tom, and we walked through several stages into man and marriage, and especially the courtship, and thereafter we also talked about challenges. Today, we are privileged to have Mark Bera, a young IT specialist and son of a pastor. He's been married for the last 5 years, and will actually tell us more about how he's been able to walk in this journey of marriage. Bera, please say hi to our viewers.
Hi, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. You look sharp, and
thank you.
We're sure that we're going to have a very good discussion.
Indeed.
So you've been married for the last 5 years.
Yes.
Maybe you can just put a simple highlight about this marriage, and then we go to something that is really prepared for us.
I've been married for 5 years.
Yeah.
You've correctly said it. It's been enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's been good.
Yes.
It's been a great learning period.
Yes.
I can say I'm better. I'm not the man that I used to be 5 years before.
Yes.
You know, I've grown in life. I've grown as a man.
Yes.
And a lot has changed in the positive.
Yes.
And I'm happy. I'm happily married.
Yes.
Going on strong.
Wow.
Until today.
Wow.
Quite a journey.
Yeah.
And a good journey, I must say.
Yes.
And I'm happy about it.
Viewers, this is a true testament that marriage works, and that is what he's saying. It
It's
doesn't
true.
mean that there are not challenges, but Bera is telling us that he's a different person compared to the person who was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So in our last program, though you were not here, and I'm sure these challenges are actually common,
Yes.
Pastor Tom cited for us about 5 challenges, but key among them were one, the finances, the handling of finances between the spouses, and making sure that we have total disclosure, budgeting together, doing things together. During arrangement or planning for the wedding,
Yes.
and throughout into when you get into the marriage. He also cited something to do with handling third parties and mentioned about the in-laws,
Yes.
friends, and to some extent even pastors. Now this one may sound awkward for you because your father is also a pastor, so
Exactly.
sometimes we may actually get to that extent. He also talked about the expectation, what you expect,
Yes.
and what the other person expects,
Yes.
and how you manage all that together. Then the idea of commitment and the disclosure,
Yes.
and to some extent, shock. You get together, and this one you knew nothing about, yet you had worked with the person for 2-3 years.
Yes.
So now we want to become more practical to our viewers, and would like you to tell us, how have you walked through these challenges? How have you navigated through the 5? Maybe we can start with the shock of your life, the moment of truth. You've worked with this girl for a period of time, and now she's here. And now on the other side, you say he's here, and this is your first time to be with her.
Interesting question.
Yes.
I think for my moment of truth,
Yes.
I'm a bit slow, I'm a
Yes.
bit calculating
Yes.
from the
Measured.
background, measured.
Yes.
I like to take things slow, maybe
Yes.
overthink.
Yes.
And so here I am during our courtship. Things were going well, planning for the wedding.
Yes.
I think the moment of truth was actually discovering that my wife is actually so fast.
Yes.
No calculated steps.
Yes.
She's go right now.
Yes.
Me, I'm the one. No, let's wait. Let's think about this. Let's go slow on this. Let's
Yes.
go on that.
Yes.
And at some time, it will almost bring a conflict.
Yes.
So that was my moment of truth.
Yes.
An interesting one.
Yes.
But I've grown in it,
Yes.
and we've discovered that actually we are different.
Yes.
Once you get married, at the point of courtship, you look like you're the same, everything is agreeing.
Yes.
But once you get married, the truth that is discovered in marriage is that you are actually different.
Wow.
But the difference is not to destroy the marriage.
Yes.
The difference is actually the gaps.
Yes.
What I lacked, you discover that this person that you loved is actually very strong.
Yes.
And for those who are not patient,
Yes.
for the men who are not patient,
Yes.
you might really find a wife who's very patient.
Yes.
She's slow. So at times it might get into your bones.
Yes.
Why is she too slow? Why does she seem to understand everybody?
Yes.
Those are the moments of truth.
My
But
God.
actually, those moments of truths are to expose and to really bring out the person, who they are.
Yes.
And at times they might look like they're different. It's like it's not the person that you got married to.
Yes.
But that person, what you think is bringing a conflict is actually a feeling, a gap that God had put to compensate for what you lacked in your marriage. So I think those are my moments of truth.
Yes.
They were interesting.
Yes.
But I've learned that actually it's a complementary thing.
Wow.
It's not for it to destroy a marriage.
Wow.
Yes.
But I like what you're saying, that you'll actually always find there's a contrast.
Yes.
And you're saying we are actually stronger in that diversity.
Yes.
The fact that you're slow and I'm fast.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that for me, I'll move with emotions.
Yes.
The other person is actually calculated.
Yes.
So you're saying this is actually what you came to find in marriage, and now you're actually together.
Yes.
So you're saying you were able to fit in, but it wasn't easy initially. It is something that we had to adapt.
Yes.
So would you be able to cite of a certain scenario where the speed of your wife was so high, yet you slow, but then you had to find a way of bringing it all together?
I remember, for us, it's an interesting story.
Yes.
We got married. I was just doing business, earning very little money.
Yes.
My wife was just a high school teacher,
Yes.
employed by the board,
Yes.
not a full TSC teacher.
Yes.
So our combined income was really small,
Yes.
mine being the least. In fact, I was earning half the pay that my wife was getting.
Yes.
So, but God was gracious. We got enough money to take us through the wedding and into marriage.
Yes.
And so at the end of, let me call it our manna.
Yes.
God provided manna that was enough for us to live 6 months after our wedding.
And you landed into Canaan.
And we landed into Canaan.
Yes.
And this point came now. I remember one morning my wife woke up. I was applying for jobs, they were not coming through. So one morning my wife woke up, checked a group.
Yes.
She saw a job. So that day I think I was really discouraged. So
Yes.
my wife was very fast.
Yes.
Let's go and let's go to this place.
What?
Prepare your CV. I'm also going to apply.
Yes.
Get ready. I told my wife, do we really have to go? So I was really slow about it.
Yes.
I took my CVs, took photocopies. They were not even really good photocopies.
Yes.
They were actually dirty copies.
Yes.
But imagine what, at the end of all that period, it's me who got the job with those dirty papers and CVs.
Yes.
And I thought my wife was too fast. She was really pushy. But at the end of it, I realized that actually that aspect of our life really helped.
Wow.
And that's what we've been living on,
Yes, yes.
getting a job, and God has been gracious. We've been able now to live comfortably
Yes.
without any issue.
Wow.
So at that point, it was a really highlight. You're too fast. You're taking this thing too fast.
Yes.
Come a bit slowly.
Yes.
But God used it, and I got a job.
Yes.
And later I looked at it and I said, okay, I think
Worried
this is
not.
our strength. Worried not for her speed.
Yes.
I think I was over-calculating.
Amazing.
But for her, the speed really helped. Yes.
Viewers, you've had two things there. One, that it is not a given that when you're coming together, the man will actually be earning more than the woman. You'll actually find you're actually earning less. And sometimes
Yes.
can go zero, like
Exactly.
at the case of one brother here.
Yes.
Who's saying there was nothing. But because of the speed that you've cited a certain advert, you're saying this job we got to go for it.
Yes.
You don't have to have people that are actually working.
And we actually
But I'm
went
sure I
together.
see the hand
Yeah.
of God in the speed, and you agreeing to actually take it that way.
Yes.
Otherwise, you'd have taken longer to apply and possibly you'd have missed the opportunity.
Yes.
This is very interesting. So he also talked about that it's easy for people to come together and do the budget together
Yes.
for the wedding, even call friends together. But after that, no other project will ever be done. That the biggest project
Yes.
some people have done is actually just to do for the wedding together.
Unfortunately.
But unfortunately, then thereafter, nothing. So how have you been able to navigate that space of finance with your wife?
The space of finance. Finance is one of the most sensitive areas in marriage.
Yes.
And it's sensitive both for believing couples and non-believing couples. I thought it would be different for believing couples,
Yes.
but at times it's really bad
Yeah.
for even believing couples, where we were only open during the time of our courtship and marriage. And after that ended, there was nothing like being open.
Looks like you had a common enemy rather than a common friend.
A common friend,
Yes.
unfortunately. And for us, we've really learned to be open about money. We realized that money, from our experience, we didn't have money when we were going in. And so money cannot be a point through which we separate or disagree. You know, money is interesting, especially in our times.
Yes.
And what has been happening in the last 1.5 years, almost going out to 2 years.
2 years now.
People have lost jobs. People started out well, you know, in marriage. People who started out well, both couples have work, they have jobs, they've gone into marriage, they had enough money, and all of a sudden there's no money. And you realize that we're having a marriage, and if we don't watch, we can actually separate.
Sure.
So we decided from the word go, from our courtship, that money, it will be an open thing. And we usually say, it's an interesting phrase we use in our house.
Yes.
If I can be naked before you,
Yes.
why not be open to you with our money? It's interesting how people can share bodies, but they can't share money. So it's really interesting. So we find it quite interesting, and we've decided that money is a small thing. I know money makes things happen in families. Money is an enabler. Money is a really good thing. But if not taken carefully, it can destroy a marriage. So we've learned to be open, you know, even discussing business. My wife doing businesses, I support her, look at what she's getting. My wife knows how much I get, you know, she knows where I work, she knows the incomes.
Just like she knew then.
Just like she knew then,
Yes.
she knows everything now.
Yes.
You see, I'm an open book, and I believe once you decide that you're moving forward with a woman, decide to move forward in every area.
Yes.
Decide to move forward in money, decide to move forward in every area.
Yeah.
And we've decided that we'll take on projects whoever is able to, whoever God uses to bring the money.
Yes.
The money belongs to the family to enable us to move to the next level. You know, this time it could be me who's working and getting a good income.
Yes.
At a
Next
later
time it could
point,
be her
it
son.
will be her.
Yes.
You know, it happens to men where
Yes.
you, at the better part of your life, you're working well, but your wife continues working, and that towards the 50s, you find that your wife is really promoted. She's
Yes.
earning a lot of money.
Yes.
And as the man, you're not earning as much.
Yes.
So we've decided to take it openly and decide that the money is ours. No one should fix the other person because you are being enabled financially.
Wow.
Yes.
This is well explained. Now, tell us the position of man now as a leader in all this. When you have little, when you have more, when you're putting it into one pot. So where do we see the leadership of the man?
God has given a man a very special role.
Yes.
To be able to have foresight and to see into the future.
You said foresight.
Foresight.
Visionary, yes.
And visionary.
Yes.
Having been given the role of a leader and the head of the house,
Yes.
God has been gracious enough to grant man also the ability to see ahead into the future,
Yes.
to see far.
Yeah.
And even for men who are not earning much,
Yes.
they should not be intimidated. They
Yes.
still have that foresight.
Yes.
They can still present the vision, what
Yes.
they believe is good,
Yes.
what can be good for the family. Even if they're not earning at that point in time,
Yes.
they can still provide guidance and leadership concerning the monies that they're generating.
Yes.
And say that I believe if we go this way, it can be good. You know, if we take on this project,
Yes.
take it in these steps,
Yes.
we can actually be successful. So a man still has the role of offering the leadership of the finances
Yes.
and providing, you know, the guidance
The guidance.
and the leading stick.
So you're saying he's the bearer of the vision.
Yes.
He carries the vision for the family. He provides the guidance. He guides.
Yes.
He points towards the right direction.
Yes.
And things will actually come together. It doesn't matter whether you have that money now, but when you're placing things together, things will take shape.
Exactly.
This is a very good word for the young man, because even today, not even in the 50s, you'll find that employers somehow are tending towards picking the women. And one of the areas cited is actually in terms of integrity. They say women are more honest compared to men. Young men are running
Yes.
too fast, wanting to have this and that at the same time. Do you have a word for them? Those who think that you cannot come because you're dating a woman who probably is earning a little bit more, a girl who is earning a little bit more than you are.
Interesting. You know, nowadays our sisters, let me call them that way, our
Our
sisters,
sisters, yes.
our young daughters, they are really they're studying, they are proving themselves worthy,
Yes.
they are finishing school and getting good jobs,
Yes.
and they are really prudent. You know,
Yes.
women are really prudent with
Very
money.
prudent, yeah.
They're very prudent, and one thing that has also helped me, being the vision bearer does not mean that your wife has no say.
Yes. Sure.
You know, women are spiritual beings.
Yes.
Women are spiritual.
Yes.
And for men, we are logical. Even when it comes to projects, sometimes we look at them logically.
Yes.
But for women, sometimes you might hear a man say, you know, I thought about this project, but you go, your wife tells you, let's hold on a bit. She might not have a logical
Something
explanation,
to explain to you.
but they're spiritual.
Yes.
And you see, even when we are handling money, finances in a home, you have to tap into that spiritual part of your wife.
Good.
Because there's something that they see that in our logical madness, we can't see.
Can't say.
And sometimes it really saves the day, and it can save your money. So even for men who are dating women who are enabled,
Yes.
they should not feel intimidated.
Yes.
I dated a woman who was earning twice
Yes.
the money that was earning.
Wow.
I did not feel intimidated.
Yes.
And you know, for a man, even if you're not earning much, so long as you can show genuinity
Yes.
in your love,
Yes.
and that you're not after
Yeah.
the woman's past,
Yes. Yes.
you know, and that
You're
you're
not just
sincere.
about her goodies. No,
Yeah.
all goodies.
All
put
goodies
together.
combined,
Yeah.
now money included.
Yes.
You know, so long as you can prove yourself that you're not after, but you're
Yes.
after to give her the headship,
But,
then you can go far.
I'm hoping this woman that you're saying, woman who was earning twice as much as you're earning,
Yes.
is your current wife.
She's my current wife.
Good. Young man, you've had it for yourself.
Yes.
This is Bera's now, the person that Bera calls my wife.
Yes.
Let's move forward a little bit. They say that third parties can really spoil the soup, you know, the marriage soup. You know, whether you're talking of the family members, or you're talking about your friend or her friends, or even some people that you work with. Have you been able to get into those waters, and how have you been able to navigate through that?
We've been really cautious
Yeah.
and always been open about it.
Good.
That will not allow third parties to interrupt.
Yes.
And it's an ongoing conversation.
Yes.
You know, the more you converse about it, I share with my wife what I experience at work. You know,
Yes.
if there's someone who's trying to make an advance,
Yes.
I usually tell her.
Yes.
It saves the man.
Yes.
It really saves the family. Sometimes when, you know, she receives something on Facebook, a man trying to, you know, seduce her
Yes.
and write some things,
Yes.
she shares that with me and we're able to talk about it.
Yes.
And you know, by actually sharing, it's not easy for the third party to interfere.
Yes.
But I think the thing that is happening, most people are having things happening, but they don't share.
They don't share.
They don't share amongst themselves. So they fall prey to the third party.
Yes.
Third parties can be workmates, you know, a friend before you were married.
Yes.
And even third parties can be family.
Yes.
And we decided not to take on family members closely initially,
Yes.
just to gel and understand each other.
Yes.
Because if you don't go about it carefully,
Yes.
it can also be a point of hurt.
Yes, that's true.
And I also decided as a
Can be a
man,
pain point,
it can be a pain point. And also I decided as a man that her family they're important to her.
Yes.
So even if we need to live with any one of them, let me take them as my family.
Yes.
That will make it easy for me.
Yes.
You know, this conflict of, you know, you're bringing your people are here, you know, they're doing all sorts of things. When you start using the words your people, then conflict will begin. Because I am from a family, my people are important, and she's from a family, her people are important.
They're important.
And at some point in your marriage, you may need to live with this third party. Let me call them that way.
Yes.
But they're important people, they are valuable people. And if you can embrace them, if it's your wife's people, if as the man you can embrace them and just be open and assist them, if you are a wife and you embrace the people of your husband, then life will be easy. There'll be no pressure.
Yes.
You'll know what to do. Yes.
I like your perspective, because you're saying the marriage is for us, but we live in a society.
Yes.
And these are the people, they are actually players in the society. We need to touch them, they need to touch us.
Yes.
As long as you get into it with understanding,
Yes.
they're not your people. When they come to us, they are our people.
They're our people.
We own them.
Yes.
So much as she comes from your side or he comes from my side, when they are with us, they are our people. And so we treat them with a common denominator.
Yes.
That these are people that we need to love and cherish and keep. That's a very good way of looking at things.
Yes.
But have you had some people who probably are a thorn in the flesh, not necessarily from the family, could be from outside?
For us, let me say God has been gracious. We've
Good.
not had people who have been a real thorn in our flesh at the moment.
Yes.
God has been gracious. We are still young.
Yes.
I believe even if we encounter that in the future,
Yeah.
God will help us to navigate. But we've also prepared ourselves
Yes.
and cushioned our hearts.
Yes.
That even if someone comes and they are pain, we'll know how to deal with them. In a society, we can discuss with the other people who can help us.
Well,
But at the moment,
I like
God
that.
has been gracious.
I like that. You're saying
Yes.
we've cushioned ourselves.
Yes.
The word of God is actually a strong tower.
Yes.
And if we're able to run to it, we'll be able to go through all things.
Yes.
So the other thing that we had discussed in our previous week with Pastor Tom was about expectation. You know, my wife is expecting, and this is what I was actually expecting. Did you have areas where the expectations were not aligned and you were still able to talk to each other? You know, it was not a shocker per se, but you're doing this thing and this is her expectation. Or even expectation from outside, but when it comes to you, looks like a reality to her, saying, this is not real, this is fake.
I think I want to remember one pastor that talked to us.
Yes.
A good friend of ours who really advised us and told us something very important, that when you go into marriage, don't have too many laws. And don't have too many things that you've set.
Yes.
Because
Boundaries.
too many boundaries, too many expectations, conditions.
Yes.
Because he told us that the lesser the laws, the lesser the expectations, the easier it will be.
Yes.
Because now you'll go into marriage and navigate as things go by. Because we know we have the guiding principles. We are believers. We love the Lord. We are hardworking. We want to make incomes. We want to have finances to run the family.
Yes.
Those are our guiding principles. But having too many laws that will make it harder for us and bring conflict, try and minimize on them. So that's the advice that he gave us, and we've been using that advice. So we don't have too many expectations, and you know, we've never had a conversation like, you know, I expected you'd be having this income. I expected that you'd be working.
Yes.
You know, we've never had such things. Because we are both hardworking people,
Yes.
we are really hardworking.
Yes.
So no one is a burden to the other in that sense. So we don't find us conflicting in terms of expectations. We
Very
move
right.
with life and with that
Wow.
going forward.
Wow.
Yes.
I'd like you to emphasize that, especially to the young men, that when you come into marriage, you go to have as fewer conditions as possible. If possible, don't put conditions. Love that was given to us by Christ was actually conditionless.
Yes.
It didn't have.
Yes.
It was basically free.
Yes.
So yes, there are boundaries, but you don't put heavy conditions that everything that is done, you've broken the law. So everything that you've done, you are off. You know, the red line.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you stepped the red line. So talk to the young people to tell them when you come in together, don't fear. But also for those who are in courtship already, that this is the way you go about it. You don't have to burden yourself, because that's what I'm hearing.
And you know, for the young people that are watching us,
Yes.
and they're believers,
Yes.
you know, the Bible says about love covering a multitude of wrongs.
Oh yes.
And you see, it's the wrongs that cause these expectations to start failing and conflict begins.
Yes.
It's those wrongs that the love was supposed to cover when we highlight more on the wrongs. You know, when I'm wrong, it means when I wrong you, it means I have broken. There's some expectation that you had.
Oh yes, there is.
But now when we start over emphasizing on the expectation, we forget the love. You know, we've been in marriage. I've made mistakes. My wife has made mistakes. Sometimes I've done things that she may not have liked, but because of the love and the guiding principle, we discuss those. Even if we were hurt, that ends. And I'd encourage young people who are hoping to get in marriage, and those who are already in marriage, that minimize the conditions. Just have love as the guiding principle.
Yes.
Minimize on too many things, because some of these things are worldly. Some of the expectations have been brought about by other influences that are external, not really the Bible.
Yeah.
And people put a lot of pressure on themselves.
Yes.
You know, conditions like we want to get married, and after 5 years I expect that my man will buy a car, you know, after 10 years, you know, I'm married to him, he's in a big job,
yes.
So I expect after 10 years, after 1 year, he'll be buying me a car. Some of those things are not practical,
yes,
and they do not add to the love.
Okay.
They're external, and they are just things to kind of make our life better,
yes.
But they are not the main things. So
they're not the main thing.
They are not the main things.
The core is love.
The core is love.
Yes.
And just moving forward, knowing each other, knowing what is good for each other, and taking care of the interests of the other person. You know, my wife knows that I love technology, and I know that she loves teaching, and you know, all those things. So making sure that she's happy and she's growing in an area is a good thing.
Yes.
It helps our relationships to grow,
yes.
and to be the conflict to be really minimal. Yeah. So I'd encourage people, reduce on the expectations.
Yes.
Just raise the expectation of love.
Be desirous of love.
Yes.
And the rest of the things will still follow.
They will fall into place.
Or go into seeking the kingdom, like it says in Matthew 6:33.
Yes.
As you're seeking the kingdom and being desirous of this love,
yes.
then you'll also be able to conquer the other milestones of life that we've actually not put as deadlines and conditions
yes.
that must be achieved for you to be able to live together.
Exactly.
I think that may be a very big core that could be making the young people to separate.
Yes.
Let me ask you, because we're just about to take a short break, are there other areas that you see the current marriages, and especially of the young people, are going through, and that could be causing a rift, you know, a separation, conflict within the marriage?
You know, young people right now are really enlightened, and the difference I see with our generation and the previous generation is that the other generation, people really learned how to resolve conflict,
yes.
and people learned how to sit ground.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
In our generation, if I state this,
yes,
this is my ground, I cannot cede any part of it.
Yes.
So even somewhere where people need to come to a common understanding,
yes,
to agree to disagree,
they have no man's land.
No, there is no common ground.
Yes.
Everyone is holding to their position. Anyone is holding firm. People are not deciding that, let me cede some of my ground. I think that is bringing a lot of conflict in marriage today.
Wow.
There has to be ceding of ground for any marriage to work.
You know, you are completely in agreement with what Pastor Tom said, that people should be able to agree. I mean, you cannot say that this is it, and if it doesn't happen, nothing else moves. Bera, this is a good conversation. We're just about to take a short break. So our viewers, kindly hold on there. We're coming back. We'll tell you more about this man, Mr. Mark Bera. So we're taking a short break, and we'll be back shortly.
Elevate TV, advancing kingdom lifestyle.
Welcome back, viewers. We're glad that you're watching, and this is Man Unveiled. We're tackling man and marriage. And like I said, today we are privileged to have Mark Bera, who's walking us through the last 5 years of his marriage life. Now, Mr. Bera, you've seen two worlds in marriage when it comes to matters to do with reproduction. And I'm saying this with humility. I mean, you've been able to walk that journey on one side all the way to a very fruitful end, and in some instances it was not as good. I'd like us to first of all talk about the expectation from both sides. That's you, Bera, and Mrs. Bera, about we need to have a baby, and walking through that journey. So how did this conversation happen, or was it accidental?
You know, for children, I don't think there's anything accidental for those who are in marriage.
Good.
I don't want to take it that it's accidental.
Yes.
It's all in the plan of God.
Yes.
And for us, we had planned for it.
Yes.
And decided at this point in our marriage, we'd want to have children.
Yes.
And so we went on and got our first child.
Yeah.
Successfully. And I can say that God was gracious through the entire period of the pregnancy.
Yes.
And we're able to be blessed with a baby boy. So we have a baby boy.
Wow.
Bouncing baby boy.
Congratulations.
Doing well. Yeah.
They say that even men do get pregnant.
Yes.
Did you get pregnant during that period?
Yes, your mind is pregnant.
Very good.
Physically, I'm not pregnant.
Yes, but mind.
But I'm
and
telling you,
spirit.
you are aware of it throughout the entire period.
Tell us about it.
It was an interesting journey.
Yes.
My wife, God has been gracious to her. She's not been having issues in her pregnancy.
Yes.
And so for the first pregnancy, when she missed her periods and we went to the clinic,
Yes.
she was told that she was pregnant.
Yes.
So there was no sign, no problem. And we discovered that, so we are on to our pregnancy.
Yes.
And so through the entire journey, I just purposed in my heart
Yes.
that I'd want to be there.
Yes.
I'd want to support in the way that I can and make it easy.
Yes.
You know, make it easy for my wife.
Yes.
Because I know now she's bearing the brunt of it.
Yes.
You know, carrying this baby.
Yes.
The physical changes that are happening.
Yes.
The getting tired.
Yes.
The sleep.
Yes.
You know, the patterns and all that cycle. So I decided as a man that I'd remain pregnant and support her emotionally.
Yes.
And physically.
Yes.
You know, be ready to cook.
Yes.
Be ready to wash.
Yes.
You know, when we are young couples, most of the time when you're getting the first pregnancy, you don't have any house help.
Yes.
And for some people, they don't have so many things in the house, so you'd find yourself washing clothes. Maybe you don't have washing machines. So I decided that I'll be all out.
You'll be able to do it.
I'll do
All
whatever
out.
it is that is needed. If it's cooking, I will cook. You know, as the pregnancy progresses, you know, our wives, they slow down more and more
Yes.
because of the what is happening physically. So I decided to walk with her, and God was gracious. We were able to be blessed. It was an enjoyable journey.
Yes.
Initially, it was challenging because you are adapting to this new system,
Which is new.
new system of living.
Yes.
You know, you're just the two of you after
Yes.
honeymoon. You're enjoying life. Nothing here to change the style of living. But all in all, it was a wonderful journey.
Wow.
I enjoyed it, and I became used to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You seem to be a very different man. I mean, coming from the way we know African culture and the woman is supposed to do, and you're saying, I went all out to give her support and to
Yes.
do the thing that I was supposed to do. What did you feel was your biggest burden then, positively, burden that you needed to carry with her? You know, this is your burden, the two of you, but you felt this squarely falls on me. And how did you handle it, both in terms of physical and spiritually?
The biggest burden that I took to myself was actually helping with the chores,
Yes,
the physical bit of it,
physical chores.
physical chores. You know, getting prepared emotionally.
Yes,
It might come to a point where, you know, for our wives bending and doing clothes,
yes,
that is impossible.
yes,
So I decided that one I'll be ready. But having lived and washed, you know,
Clothes
done my
before,
laundry,
yes, yes.
that was easy. You know, being sent, go bring me this, bring me that.
Yes,
Initially it felt like it's much,
yes,
but I understood. At the end of the day, you know, the child that is coming, it's our child.
sure.
So let me just take it up. Let me not feel this as a burden. And so that was on the physical bit of it.
Yes,
On the spiritual bit of it, it was a lot of prayer and really praying that things will go well. A bit of anxiety here and there, especially towards the days of giving birth.
yes.
The actual birth.
The actual day.
The actual day.
Yes.
And
you
you
call
know,
it DDD or something close to that.
the EDD and all that.
Yes.
And you know, I knew, in fact, one thing that was a big challenge was I'd began working, but I was not 1 year into our work.
Wow.
So there's no
Live.
there's no care, there's no cover
Yes.
for giving birth.
Yes.
And so you have to start thinking of how do we get money, how do we go through this process, because
Yes.
there's some financial implication of it.
Yes.
So at some point it felt like a burden, but I prayed about it, and God calmed me up, and I knew that God would make a way, and God actually did.
Yes.
We got into a hospital, of the first people in that hospital that was being opened,
Yes.
and God was gracious. There was a lot of support
Yes.
from the staff there, and it didn't pay much.
Yes.
I had the money, you
Yes.
know, the
you
previous
were
jobs
able to
I'd
pay.
done, I was able to pay.
Yes.
So that was a bit of a burden to me. I thought it would really be, you'd feel ashamed as a man.
If it doesn't happen.
And I know many men are usually ashamed when you get to a point where your wife is almost giving birth and you don't have money.
Vera.
There's something so sad. You don't want to call people and tell them,
I need
my
support.
wife is giving birth tomorrow. I don't have money.
Yes.
It's one of the most painful calls for a man, but God was gracious.
Yeah, God was
gracious to us.
Yeah.
I was able to, the monies that were needed, I was able to pay. And the entire pregnancy was a journey of prayer. You know, we decided we will not leave anything to chance. It's not obvious that a woman gets pregnant and she gives birth safely.
Oh yeah, I totally
It's
agree.
not obvious.
Let's come to it again. So this time speak to the women. Of course, your wife understands that you did that, or she does not. And I would like you to speak to them to know that men do care. Like we said, men are also pregnant.
Yes.
And though they go down to their knees, even in odd hours, you know, praying for the journey and the eventual positive outcome. And at the same time, speak to men to understand that they have a role.
Yes.
You know, they have a role, you know, to go down to their knees and call upon the Lord during this particular time. Because that is what I wanted you to do. That make the young people understand. And even those who have given birth to one or two, that it's actually a combined role, because you said we are one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like for our wives to understand that men, they might not completely understand how to do it.
Yes.
But men mean it. For some men, they actually mean well
Yes.
in their care. Sometimes they might miss it.
Yes.
They might have some missed shots here and there when
Yes.
they're trying to give support. They might not completely understand.
Yes.
And for men, I'd also encourage them to understand that for women, it's an emotional journey. Emotions change here and there.
Yes.
So for the men to be patient, to understand that even sometimes if they do something, even if it's not taken positively, they should continue doing it.
Yes.
They should understand that it's a whole journey.
Yes.
For those who are expecting their first children, it's the first child that this woman has ever gotten.
Exactly.
She's never had the experience. And so for men to continue doing that thing of supporting their wives, and also for the wives to understand that if you see a man near and around you during a pregnancy, doing all that they can, please just know that they are there for you. It might be painful, you know, pregnancies are different for women.
Yes.
Some might experience some pains and changes here and there, but let them understand that the men mean it. But you see, they will only understand that the men mean it when that man is around, when he's there,
around,
as
yes.
much as they can.
Yes.
I know there are men, maybe during the pregnancy of their wives, they are sent out for jobs, that are far away,
Or they work at night.
or they work at night. But for men who are sent in distant places,
Yes.
especially for their wives who are experiencing pregnancy for the first time, I know it's not easy.
Yes.
It's never easy to be alone with a pregnancy and your man is not near. So I encourage men to be as close to their wives as possible.
As possible.
Offer physical support and prayer, and tell them that it will be well. Always reassure your wives that it will be well,
Wow.
that God will be gracious.
Powerful.
Yes.
This is powerful, Bira. Then eventually the bundle of joy came.
Yes.
The little young man.
Yes.
And now you have your 3 people in the house and possibly 4.
Yes.
And maybe a multitude, because there are people who would come. So tell us a little bit about that and where man was sitting. I mean, where is the space of man when a little bundle of joy has actually come? Because many men would actually take a back seat, probably even their presence is actually not felt. Were you present in the mix of the first 6 months, 1 year?
Interesting. I was there even on the day. My job where I work, they were gracious. I got a leave before.
Yeah.
So I walked with my wife the entire journey, labor, all the drama,
Yes.
all the waiting, the anxiety, a bit anger, you're told to wait.
Yes.
And sometimes you're anxious, this child, are they not coming or are they coming? What will happen?
Yes.
So I was there during that journey until the actual giving birth of my son.
Yes.
I was fortunate enough to actually hold my baby
Yeah.
the first time
Yes.
and actually make a prayer.
Wow.
Before they were
you
even
were
washed.
present.
I was there, held
Present.
there.
Not just at the labor ward, but at the delivery
Delivery
room.
I went out, they chased me a bit.
Okay.
But after the baby came out, I was
Okay.
actually interceding outside of that room. I was
Say
really
that again.
praying.
You were
Actually interceding.
interceding.
It was very tough. You don't know what will happen.
Just a minute. Ladies, you need to understand that men take this thing very seriously. They don't just get pregnant. They get pregnant emotionally and spiritually. They go to the extent of being the intercessors in this thing. So you are interceding.
I was
And
interceding.
Then,
I was interceding outside.
Yes.
It gets to that point where the nurses now they ask you kindly to walk out.
Yes.
So I walked out.
Yes.
But I was there hearing everything that is happening and
Yes.
actually praying and believing God that it will be well.
Yes.
You pray there in tongues. You don't know how to pray in English now. You pray
Yes.
and you believe God. The most exciting moment was actually hearing that child
Yes.
cry.
The cry.
I didn't wait to be called. I rushed in,
Uh-huh.
told the nurses, please give me this child.
Yes.
Let me give thanks to God.
I am the
Before you
father.
wash the child,
Yes.
before you even cut the umbilical cord,
What?
I was there. I took that bold step
Yes.
and actually prayed.
No, you must be
And
very bold.
My wife was very happy to see me there.
Yes.
I think it's something that she will not forget.
Yes.
Women don't forget.
They don't forget. So you are able to rubber stamp your presence.
Yes.
That I'm here, I care,
Yes.
and let's pray for this man. So you dedicated the boy there
To the Lord.
to the Lord.
I'd actually wish and pray that most men will actually be there when their children are being born.
Wow.
It's usually a 50-50 case for women. The pain, I know we can't understand.
We can't understand.
We can't understand the pain.
Yeah.
So the best thing is just for a man to be there. So I'll actually pray that most men will be there. Just be there and do what you can do. And if you're a believing man, just pray and intercede
Wow.
and trust God.
So we need to know this as women, as young men, that it is actually important to support. I wanted to just say with a light touch that the pain, the marriage was instituted by God in Genesis.
Yes.
And the pain was also proclaimed in the same book because of whatever happened. But
Yes.
with all that understanding, we all need to know that we actually labor together. One may be the proper physical, the other one is carrying a heavy burden, emotional and spiritual. But all these needs to be put together.
Yeah.
Bera, now you have other people in the house. Would you like to touch a little bit, just a little bit, when you now have a house help, you have a child and you're living together? How are you able to put all this together? Remember, man is the head. You're the head of the family.
Yes.
And now you are all this, something that was not there. You are on the two, operating from kitchen maybe to bedroom, or kitchen to sitting room, if
Yes.
there was one. Many of us started with small spaces.
Yes.
So how were you able to put all these people together and ensure that things were running properly? Is there a role of man in ensuring that the house is actually running in order?
What usually happens, what I saw happen, and I know most experienced parents, yourself included,
Yes.
Once our wives give birth, they're usually tired.
Yes.
It's like all the fatigue of the 9 months lands on that day.
Yes.
And once they're in the house, for most men, most new couples, they will not
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
But you'll find yourself the one doing the runs now,
Mm.
picking the child, taking to the mother,
Yes.
waking up at night,
Yes.
turning the baby.
Yes.
I understood all the clockwork.
Yes.
A child can't sleep in one
Yes.
side the entire night.
So you have to turn.
So your alarm is on. Me, I was used to sleeping comfortably the entire night from 10 or 11 to 5.
Yes.
No one is waking up at night to interfere with my sleep.
Yes.
I'm telling you, that was a shock.
Yes.
Waking up at 12,
What?
you said 2 hours.
Yes.
Wake up at 2,
Yes.
turn the child, check whether they are breathing, whether they're okay.
Yes.
They cry in the night.
Yes.
Go pick them, give them to their mother, wait for them to be breastfed, take them back to their
So the
couch.
young men who are listening to this, they are learning a lot. Because some of us are past that and probably we didn't do it.
Yeah, it's a real responsibility.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to save. I was looking at it this way. You know, if I allow my wife to strain, it might not be possible
Not
to get
this time.
the other 2 or 3 children that you want.
Yes.
So you choose your struggle as a man.
Yes.
Let your wife struggle, then develop a complication of the back. Then you'll be told by doctors later it's not possible for her to carry a pregnancy.
Yes.
So I decided, let me take the physical bit, because we are stronger physically. We can bear the brunt a bit physically. So I did the runs, was then ensuring everything is up, doing the shopping, coming ensuring that the child, when the mother is seated, make sure she's comfortable.
Yes.
Just make it as easy. As
it can be.
Because what I saw was not very easy there in the labor ward.
Yes.
So I wanted to make life as easy as possible. Just to ensure that she's relaxed,
So
to be able to bring up
the
this young
labor
one.
ward and the delivery room actually assisted you to see a picture there.
Yes.
That you're able to see at this of the world and say, you know what? Going by that, you need to make this as comfortable as possible.
As comfortable as you can make it.
Wow.
It might be different for different couples.
Yes.
But make it as comfortable as you can. You know, make it as easy. So I did that for the 6 months. We just had a house help. We were not living with any relative. We just the 4 of us.
Yes.
Our child, my wife, and the house help. So the house help was just to cook, do the chores,
Yeah.
but actually handling the child.
That was
and, you
your
know, that was our role.
That
Yeah.
was your role.
That was our role.
So the house help is not the person to come and do this thing.
No.
This is our baby. She may assist in cooking and a bit of the cleaning, but the core role about the child depends on the 2 of you.
Yes.
And more so you, because you've already seen the burden that she's gone through, and she's also going through a healing process. You are celebrating, but there's also a bit of a healing process and a recovery process, if I may put it that way.
Yes.
All right.
And a sensitive recovery process.
Yes.
You know,
Very sensitive.
if it's not done well, you might have an injured woman, an injured mother who may not be able to take care of the child,
Yeah.
and who may not be able to get other children in the future.
Oh, yes.
So I did the best that I could. I believe my wife can speak for herself, but
Excellent.
I did the best.
Maybe one day we'll get her on board and we'll be able to talk to us, the 2 of you.
Yes.
Allow me to switch gears a little bit, and with the humility, you mentioned that you also had your 2nd pregnancy that did not carry through to a very fruitful end.
Yes.
And you've been able to go through that journey. And maybe there are men out there, or even women, and possibly even losing their 1st pregnancy, or even their 2nd or 3rd. Maybe there's a way you can explain to us partly how did this happen, you know, from maybe the conception to the time that you felt it's not working and you have given it our best.
For us, pregnancy was on, you know, after the clinic for our 2nd pregnancy.
Yeah.
Went to the clinic. 1st clinic was fine. But one morning, my wife woke up and there was blood. So that is a very bad signal for anybody who's been pregnant, for any woman who's been pregnant. You know, blood is not a good sign.
Yeah.
And so that happened. And we went to the hospital and actually confirmed that we had lost the baby. And it was a really painful process. Let me say that for women, it's really emotional and really painful.
Yeah.
For the man, we take it differently, but it was actually painful because you decide that what you're waiting for is not coming in the next 9 months, you know. And the process of, you know, getting set and taken care of was also emotional,
Yeah.
in a sense. I was there. I've been there with my wife, even through the journey of, you know, cleaning her up, getting rid of that pregnancy, because once you lose a child, they have to get it out.
Yes.
So I was there in that entire step. There's no part of it that I left
You
her
are
alone.
present.
Yeah, I was present when we went to the hospital to actually have her assisted. I was there. It was painful. but let me say it was more painful to her because God has built women in a special way. They bond with their children from the moment the conception has happened. There's that connection, and the initial connection is with the mother. And so it was really painful for her, and also painful for me. I knew that this pregnancy would not come to pass. And so it took time. People knew, and they helped us in the way that they could. And by the grace of God, we got healed. My wife got healed physically and even later emotionally. But it was a tough journey. We didn't expect it. And it taught us many things. It taught us that these things are real. They happen to people.
Yes.
And sometimes when some things happen, you really understand.
When they happen to you.
Yeah, when they happen to you, you're able to understand people who've gone through this before. And so God helped us, and we were able to now begin understanding what losing a baby, losing a pregnancy means. And we understood that, pain, there is no, let me say, there's no big or small pain. Someone who loses a pregnancy, someone who loses a small child, someone who loses a big child, you can't say that the person who lost a pregnancy didn't have a loss. You can't say that someone who's lost a small baby, didn't have a loss.
It didn't have an impact.
It didn't have an impact. We actually began to understand that because many times you hear people saying, you can get another child, but it's not usually easy. So we also learned from now this kind of statements to tell people. If someone has lost a pregnancy, don't just tell them, you'll get another child.
Yeah.
Allow them to heal. And so it was a painful process.
Sorry for that, yeah.
But God was gracious, and we went through it, and God has helped us this far.
Wow.
Yes.
Let me ask you, you sound a bold person. You've gone to places where men have not gone. Like you said, the labor ward, the delivery room, and now this time when your wife is going through process of ensuring that whatever was remaining after you lost the pregnancy, you were also present. Where do you get this boldness from?
I want to say that my boldness comes from God. I think God has enabled me, just by His grace, to be able to take on some tough things in life.
Yeah.
The strength that I have comes from God to take up those things. And sometimes it's not really strength. It's not that you don't have fear. It's that you're a man and you're taking responsibility. Going to that labor ward does not mean that you're really all up and you're really bold and you don't fear anything. No. There's some fear, but you decide that let me show this woman that I care and let me overcome the fear. So it's not necessarily that you don't have fear, but it's overcoming the fear and taking a step and saying, let me show myself worthy and let me overcome this fear and let me take a bold step and stand with this person that I've given my life to and this person who's given their life back to me.
Yes.
So it does not mean that boldness doesn't mean that absence of fear.
Yes.
It means you've actually decided to take a step against the odds.
Conquer that fear.
Yes, to conquer the fear.
To call upon the Lord.
And to call upon the Lord.
Strength comes from the Lord.
Yes.
Wow.
Those are tough moments, but God can give anyone strength. A sad thing would be for you to leave your wife. Even employers understand.
Yes.
If you tell your employer that your wife lost a pregnancy, they'll give you an off. So it'd be so unfortunate for a man not to be there and walk with the wife. They might not forget. You said women don't forget?
No, they don't forget.
They might not forget.
Oh, they remember. They remember. I think whatever you do, they actually do it in an embossed way. Not just a seal. The way you seal a document.
Yes.
Like the title deed, you seal properly. That this is actually, I remember this one.
Yes.
Let me ask, during this time when all this is actually happening, and you've seen what has happened, and now you're back home, and the two of you have some support, because I've heard some people say that you need something like counseling. What would you say about counseling, whether it's professional or from people who are of substance? Could be also on the spiritual angle.
Counseling is very important. losing a baby and a human being is not easy, and counseling is not bad. If you can get counseling to just go through it and have closure, it's important, because if one is not properly counseled and helped, when you want to try again and get a child, you would have fear. It will start coming to you again.
Yes.
Will it happen? If you get to the months where you lost the baby, you start having fear again, and you start wondering, will I lose the pregnancy?
Yes.
Will I lose this pregnancy again? And that anxiety is not good. So counseling, professional counseling, you can get church counseling, and also get prayers. Alongside the counseling and the help, the professional help that is there, don't forget to get the spiritual help.
Yes.
Ask people to stand with you and help you,
Yeah.
and pray with you, and do their bit. Someone might not be a good counselor, but they can pray, and God will come. Someone might counsel you, but maybe they don't. They are just professional. They might not know how to pray.
Yes.
So the two efforts are really important, and they come in handy, so that you don't carry on stress. You can even into even your child, your existing child. You have a son now. If you're too stressed up, our child who is already there and they are healthy and they're strong, they might not benefit from our love and care. So it is important, if you can get counseling, get it, get prayers, and get support.
Wow.
That will help you.
We're coming to a close, and just in a very brief way, you may want to talk about, did your son get to know this? How did you ensure that he's also been able to get some sort of closure? And once you do that, you could also give your closing remarks.
I think
about marriage in the first 5.
Yes.
Yes.
For us, our son did not understand much. I think God helped us in that sense. That it's a boy. Boys, let me say, they're not really emotional. They're just boys. Boys will be boys, the Englishman said.
Yes.
And so they didn't know much. So no need to explain much.
Yes.
He's young. He's young. Even after he was told that there's a child, and he didn't ask much. He's never followed up about a child not being there. But there's a sense of him maybe lacking a companion. Sometimes you see it. He feels lonely sometimes, a bit. But we've just prayed and believed God that it will be well one day. And the fact that he's a child, that really helps a lot.
Wow.
If it was an older child who understands, it would be a bit hard.
Wow.
Yes.
So thank you so much, Mbera. Please speak to our viewers on the camera and just say one word. What would you tell them about marriage in the first 5?
Wow. Marriage for the first 5 is interesting. You can make it. Marriage is good. Marriage is fun. And you can go it with God, and God can help you. You don't need much in marriage. You just need the two of you, and you need a lot of love. And God can take you through. Marriage, it's, I think, for men. You have to be married. If you're not married, please believe God for marriage. It will mature you up. It will make you be better. And you will experience something that you've not experienced before. It's a good thing.
Excellent. That was Mark Mbera telling us about marriage in the last 5 years. A man who's been pregnant, a man who's seen the two worlds, carrying pregnancy to a fruitful end and carrying pregnancy to a not a very fruitful end. But by God's grace, he's been able to sail through. I encourage you to keep watching Man Unveiled. Bye-bye. Till next time.